All right, I think we are live currently. So,
Yep.
hi everyone. I'm going to pull this up on my tablet so I can see what's happening with what number wise. Okay. So, how's everyone tonight? How many people we have in chat? Let's check the altitude real quick. I see that the hashtag altitude group is growing on Facebook, which is good. I think they're up to like 800 people or something by now.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I
getting
don't
up
pay
there.
attention how many is in there.
Yeah, a lot of authors coming up in there, so pretty good. Good show. Copy link. All right, and I'm gonna go this way here. Oh no, that's got a new page. Hey. All right, so we'll do introductions. DL, you can go first with your introduction if you would like.
I'm DL Stewart, write adult medieval fantasy. Um, Tonight I'm going to be working on the second book of my Metagore series called Sovereign Duties. So, yeah.
Yay. It's a lot of work. What's that? I read some meme somewhere about writing a sequel.
Oh yeah.
It's harder
I
than
did a
writing
video
the
about
first
that or
book.
whatever. Writing a book is
Yeah,
hard. Writing a
they give
sequel
a
is
video
harder.
about that.
Yeah.
Like seriously, it is. I have to agree with that. Like I have my book planned all the way through the third novel, so
I
I
had
know
like
the.
the entire series planned out and it's still,
Oh, I know it's
yeah.
still like that's still supposed to go from book to book. I think, in my opinion. So but yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting journey with that. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, so all right, and this is my channel. I'm author DL Tillery, and I will be working on Kronk's Cagliostro's. Well, it's the name has a slight change, but anyway, Cagliostro's revision that I'm on a deadline to complete to get it to my editor by October 1st. So yeah, the name had a slight change. So now it's the first book. It's just the whole entire series is just going to be Cagliostro because technically it's not a chronicle. So I make sure I dropped that word. So Cagliostro and the first one is Tale of the Libertine. So each book will just be Cagliostro and then the sub name of technically what that book is about, leading up to the finality of the third book. So yeah, that's what's going to happen with that. So at least I finally nailed that down because the book had a few different name changes a few times. So just
yeah,
saying.
that's how mine is. Everything has Metagore in it and it's got like, not really a subtitle, but like a pre-title.
Yeah.
But
So I'm
I
like,
usually just call them by that pre-title instead of saying the
mhm.
entire thing.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what happened with that. So I finally got that down. But when I was thinking about the entirety of the series, I think when you're sitting there, you're thinking about the people that's going to read your book, and you're like, I think people are going to get angry with me at this point. So I'm like sitting there thinking about that, and I'm like, there's going to be some anger.
Oh yeah.
And you come to that realization that making a decision as an author is like it's difficult when you have to do certain things to certain characters, and especially your character you've been writing for a while, and then you have to make this decision that this is going to happen to them, whether it's a death or something traumatic for them or whatever, and you're like, oh, I feel bad about doing this, but this has to happen to you, like
Oh yeah. My wife's
But
still mad at me because I'm planning on killing her favorite character in the later book. So, and then
that's
she
what's going to
found out
happen.
the story arc for that same character like in the second book, and she doesn't like it at all. I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
what's happening?" She's like, "You're gonna make me not like him." I was like, "Oh well,
I can't help you.
yeah."
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you
This
don't
is
get too
going to
attached
go
to
down.
anybody.
Right? Like this is gonna go down, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. So tonight's Q&A is it's called the theme is pull me in. So we're gonna do the first question, and then everyone answer in the comments, and I will read the answers. What's your favorite genre and why? All right. So my favorite genre, I would say, is fantasy, and then secondary paranormal. Um, where they place everything in paranormal now. It's like anything to do with angels, demons, blah blah. you know, so they place all that stuff together. So anything to do with ghosts, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So secondary, paranormal for me, first fantasy, and that the genre of fantasy pulls me in because I technically fiction pulls me in general, but fantasy pulls me in because of the different creatures and different beings that could be in it that not necessarily we can know in our world. I'm not gonna say not in our world for sure because I never speak about things I don't know because then you like a fool later. Like if what if like an elf showed up and I was like they don't exist, some shit like they could have existed at one point. I was not
I've seen some
around.
people with some pointed ears.
Right. I mean, some people could still have elven blood running through their veins. I don't know.
Yep.
And you can't say elves never existed because we weren't back then when there was a lot of different type of people in the past that don't even exist anymore or decide to not exist where we can see them. So, because humans, we can be quite annoying. I'm just saying.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, that type of thing pulls me in. Just the myth and legend and just the entirety of the story coming together, and you don't know what's going to happen in fantasy. And then just dragons and knights and magic and things like that. I just always was drawn to that type of thing. So yeah, that's what pulls me in for that genre. Paranormal, similar. Why? Just because it's the unknown and the beauty of the world that can be created in fantasy, something that I don't know about from my world. So that's why I really, really like that. Fantasy takes a new things to a new level that you may not get in, I'm not really a nonfiction reader. Like I live in reality, so I don't really need to read that unless I'm just doing educational purposes. I don't really read nonfiction stuff because it's whatever. I live in the world, so I never got that, but some people like that. But yeah, that's what pulls me in. What about you, DL?
I would probably be about the same. I like fantasy at most. I think sci-fi and steampunk can be
Oh yeah.
out there as well.
Mm,
But I like fantasy because of the unlimited possibilities and the imagination that goes into the world building and the different creatures and all of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And that's also why I kind of like sci-fi and steampunk stuff as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
I feel like too much with those people try to rely too much on the science, and it
Yeah,
just kind
that's
of
what I
takes away
feel.
from the actual story itself. So
Oh,
that's the only downfall in that for me. But I would say fantasy for sure.
yep. Got Aphrodite joining us.
Hi.
Hey, I didn't know if you were going to be joining us or not.
I wasn't sure I was gonna make it.
Oh, you good? I didn't know if you felt well enough to join us, so I was like, I don't know if she joined us tonight or not, but I'll send her the link either way.
I don't. As you can see, I look crazy. I don't feel well enough to hang long, but I
You
had to.
cool?
I had to at least try to sign in.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks for seeing us momentarily. We were just doing the first question, and DL and I answered it already. I'm waiting for some people in the comments to answer, but it's tonight's theme is pull me in. So, the first question was, "What's your favorite genre and why?" So, if you want to answer that, if you're up to it, you can.
Favorite genre to write or read?
More or less a read. Even if you want to add in writing, you can. I think most of us, you probably know what you write, but you can just do far as you as a reader.
Um, I like to. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. Forgive me. I really do not feel good. I like to read paranormal fantasy, and I like paranormal fantasy that has romantic aspects, but not romance books. You know what I mean?
hmm
I'm more into the fantasy aspect of it, or even the paranormal aspect of it, more so than the romantic aspect. But I want to have both going on.
hmm
I'm sorry.
Oh, you go, sweetie.
So, but that's mainly what I like to read. It's also what I like to write, as well. Now that I think about it.
I think that happens a lot with us. So we like generally if we say we like reading something, we probably possibly like writing it as well. Not always the case, but generally that could be the case. I'm predominantly think it's going to happen that I'm predominantly going to be a horror writer because I do enjoy writing horror to the maximum. But I love fantasy, so I write a lot of different genres. So that's I'm a multi in everything I do. So with horror though, I don't read as much horror as I watch horror, Um, but I do have like selective horror books that I do enjoy, but I don't go out looking for horror books per se. I like it when they turn them into movies and things like that because I get the visual effect of fear and all that stuff. Um, but I have read like H.P. Lovecraft. I have all his stuff.
Oh my goodness. I
Any kind of
have,
dark. Hmm.
I have some H.P. Lovecraft stuff. I don't really. I'm not a fan,
Hmm.
but I'm not a fan for certain reasons. Not because
Yeah.
he isn't a good writer.
Right. Right. So I mean, I do like. Well, his horror is just very good. I like cosmic horror. I do like cosmic horror a lot because of the elaborate telling of it. You
Mhm.
don't always know anything what's really going down the end, and the being or whatever may not even have a really good reason for doing whatever they're doing. Just pure the fact that I'm evil, and I hope I'm enjoying the fact that you're suffering, type of thing.
I think the
So
reason why H.P. Lovecraft stuff was it's just so well written is because he's writing what terrifies him. He's
right,
actually
right.
afraid of all that stuff.
Yeah, so but you're like afraid of like the unknown in most cases because even though he drew from things that he was afraid of, he manipulated it and created something that wasn't necessarily what he truly was afraid of in the sense of its physicality of it. So
Right.
if he was afraid of something, you didn't know exactly what that fear is completely as far as looking at his stuff or reading his stuff because one of the best adaptations of his one of his stories is The Mouth of Madness. That movie is really really well done, considering the year it came out too. So that movie is like when I was younger and so I just did
Wait, what
not even
movie?
know what. It's called The Mouth of Madness. It's based off one
Oh,
of his
okay.
stories. So the movie is done very well, but Cthulhian or cosmic horror is very like that's some twisted stuff that you might not ever get. You might just be mind blown, like, and then it's over. You don't even know what's going down.
Yeah, I
But
got
I
a
mean,
friend writing a story like that.
oh really? Yeah, I love
Yeah, I've
that.
been beta
Like,
reading for her. It's pretty good.
yeah, I like it. It's sometimes it's like that's what I like writing a lot of. So I think Chronicles of Cali, well, not Chronicles anymore, but Cagliostro is going to be it's horror. It's horror fantasy. I think that's what it's going to be because that's what it turned out to be. It has a dark undertone to the world and all that stuff. So it's going to be still horror. I'm imagining from what I've written. I know it's going to be categorized under that, and I
I
would love to one day be the first mistress of horror because they have the masters of horror.
I am going to write a horror story. I'm
That
not
would. I'm
I'm not
sorry, but that's going to be
promising
funny if you do. I'm just.
I'm not promising that it's going to be a horror novel,
Mm-hmm.
a short story, but
Mm.
I am going to do one. I keep
Yeah, you.
hearing challenge, and I'm scared of a lot of shit I can write about. Believe me.
I know you. That's why I said that's going to be interesting for you to do. All right, let me catch up to the chat real quick, and then we can get on our first sprint. Jones says, "I love reading suspense thrillers, some horror, and of course my own genre, dark, erotic, paranormal romances. Love that. Love that." Ava said, to write fantasy so far, to read anything with characters I care about. I'm big into character development, so for movies slash TV drama usually. Let's see. Hello, I know your future. Um, says paranormal romance and urban fantasy in general for both reading and writing. That usually is the case with that. Joan said, I love horror movies. And Rita, hi Rita. I read any genre. I'm a avid reader, but I write mainly contemporary romance and romantic comedies. I'd love to write something with comedy, but I'm not sure I have the scope to do comedy.
I just
People
did
say I'm
I
funny
just
in real life, but I don't know about writing it.
I just did a comedy called Highly Inappropriate, and people are really liking it so much that we're doing auditions today.
Hmm.
Other directors were asking me, can they be in the film?
That's pretty funny.
So
You
it's it's,
know it's good when
it's
that happens.
inappropriate. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah. I wish I could write comedy, but I love watching it and reading it. John said, love Lovecraft. Yeah, with you on that. I have his whole entire collection. Um, Alrighty. Let's see. Ava says, I tried an urban fantasy by an indie author. Yeah, you gotta love it or not love it. Um, Is that again titled Urban Dragon Volume 1. It's well written and the story is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of urban fantasy, turns out. You don't find out sometimes until you check it out, you know what I mean? But it's only indie book I've read so far that was readable, in my honest opinion. I haven't read an author tuber yet, laugh out loud. I do have a few author tubers I read, and it's quite good work. I've read Jenna Morrissey. I read some of her work, and of course, D.L. Stewart. I'm reading his book currently, which is really good, by the way. If you did not pick up his book, then the link is in our description. You should definitely check it out. Very reasonably priced, in my opinion, completely for the work that's in that book. So you should definitely check it out. Definitely, the price is great. That's what I like about books too. Is you get an entire story, and the prices for books is really great in my opinion. Whether you go digital or physical, I'm a physical person, so I always get a physical copy of the book. I just like to have the book. I like turning the pages and reading it. That's just me. I have digital books, but I don't do that unless I'm like traveling or something like that.
I forget about them too much. If it's evil.
Right, dude. My Nook was in the drawer for like 2 years, and this was like dead. So I didn't see it again.
I read them on my phone, but.
Right, that's like if I'm out and about, I read them on my tablet because I have like Amazon Prime or
Facebook or
YouTube. Yep. Stephen King is that way. Also, he writes about things that frighten him. Yeah, a lot of horror. King. Yeah, a lot of horror writers will do that. Actually, that's how they get the inspiration to do it. I mean, I would have to say myself, being a horror writer, I don't. People think it's funny, but I don't really have a fear of like the things I'm writing about. I don't. I actually probably when I'm writing it, I'm laughing. It's kind of twisted, but when I'm writing horror, I enjoy it to the point that I'm laughing. Like this is. I hope this scares the Jesus out of somebody. Like I'm not afraid of it myself. Is the funny thing, but I always I don't write thrillers because I'm like, there's no way I'm afraid of another human in this instance. So if there's gonna be something that's coming at me, I want it to be something that I possibly cannot beat on an easy term. Like another human, we're, in my opinion, on the same level. So we're the same type of being. So I have a chance to defeat you because you're not really, stronger than me, or you have supernatural powers or something like that over me, So that instance, I'm not afraid. Now you got a human maybe that has, telekinesis or something, then we're going into a different area of, stuff like that. But if it's just a person coming at me with a knife or a weapon, I'm not gonna be afraid of you. I'm gonna fight you because it's my life. You know what I mean? So thrillers never interest me. When I've watched them, of course, but I'm like, what are you doing? Like yelling at the person or something. Why are you going upstairs?
Right, that's me. I'm like, dude.
I'm like, what are you even thinking? But people when people are afraid, they don't think. So I mean, I get why they run upstairs because people are afraid. They don't think, they just do. That's the worst thing you can do.
I still don't get it because the last thing I'm gonna do is run up the steps. So
that's what they do, though, man. It's like a thing. But that's just to keep it the adrenaline going for a thriller. Obviously,
I think
the person just gets out the door and runs away. It's over. Like what?
But I said this in one of my other videos. I think it would be more scary if the person actually did the right things and still got fucked up. Like didn't go down in the basement with the flashlight, left out the house, but he still got fucked up. So I was determined that I was going to write the story where the children in the story got killed because you got killed all except for that last one. And the last one will be a boy, not a girl in mine.
Yeah, so it's
not to kill them all, but they had to die fighting. They had to die doing everything they could have done to save themselves. They just didn't win.
Right. So I mean, it's horror is such a fun thing to write for me. Like I probably won't be writing about anything I'm afraid of. It's just a general concept that I'm gonna write about stuff that you should be afraid of, I should say. So the unknown creatures. Yeah, so I love that movie. Yeah, Mouth of Madness was really, really good.
I am afraid. I'm afraid. Ghost stories scare me.
I love ghost stories, dude.
They scare me. So
I love ghost stories. Yes, I know, baby. You can't touch that. Like you're gonna get stuck with this a pin.
So my love, I gotta go. My head is.
You should.
Ringing. Like I
Well,
can't.
thanks for popping in, though.
Yeah. I'm
Can
so
you take
sorry.
yourself out of the stream? You need me to do it.
I don't know how to do it.
Okay. So say bye to everybody.
Bye, bye everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't hang, but I can't. My head. I need to get out of the light, and I need to
Yeah.
get into some dark. I feel
Oh.
nauseous. So,
Okay, so we'll see you. I guess on Tuesday I'll be streaming, so hope
well,
she'll be better by then. If not,
hopefully
then
Monday. Hopefully by Monday.
I hope so. All right. Have a good night.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Bye
You okay?
everybody.
Bye. All right. So let's see here what I missed in the chat. Sorry, let's go. All right, and let's see what Ava's saying here. I know they are. I love the startup of 11/22/63. Oh yeah. Santara did love the love everything horror related. Jones says, yeah, I have to say, I'm like, usually when Halloween comes around, when Halloween pops up and comes around, I'm like ready to go because I've been looking at horror like the entire year.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I try to save some stuff, but it's not it's not the easiest thing to do. Um, all right. Oh yes, because Aphrodite is afraid of any like aquatic type of creatures. So yeah, she definitely don't like the aquatics. All right. All right. Ava. 11/22/63 and Insomnia are the only King books I've read all the way through. Not a huge horror fan. Either of those are really scary, more thriller maybe. Yeah, because Stephen King, a lot of people didn't realize with Stephen King that his stuff is very connected. A lot of his earlier stuff, and it has a bit of a cosmic horror, type of Cthulhian aspects to it. Like if you think about it and The Stand, um, so a few other ones that's connected because The Stand was connected with it. So it kind of was saying like Randall Flagg, and that was actually the same being as it from it. But yeah, so his stuff is kind of connected in that way, and it itself is like a cosmic being. So yeah, that was very interesting to me. I'm not the biggest King fan far as like all his books, but we don't always like every book that a writer writes, obviously. Um, but yeah, so his movie adaptations are really good. I've read quite a many of his works, and then a lot of people like it is my favorite book. I'm like, I have to say that I'm not a big fan of it the book. The movies I do enjoy. Just that some aspects of it the book I was like, my boy, what were you thinking? But that's a writer. They do different things. So, but yeah, definitely. I don't know a lot, and the thing is, I'm a horror fanatic with a lot of things. I don't read as much horror as newer horror, I should say. There's a lot of older horror I've read, but newer stuff I'm like not really. All right, everybody saying about Aphrodite here. Okay, so yeah, we caught up. All right. Um, it was a murder town. I named my hometown after the town he talks about several lectures. Oh, okay. I missed that one. They stop pulling my hair. Urgh, crazy 3-year-old. All right. Okay, so we're at about 8:25. We're gonna jump in on our first sprint. We're gonna do 15-minute sprints tonight. We did talk a little long, so which is fine because it is what it is. So let's do a 15-minute sprint. So how you laughing? So we come back at about 8:40, and then we'll do our second question. Are you excited? Okay. So we'll be back at 8:40. See you guys in 15. Alrighty, and we're back. Okay. Everyone, you can let us know how you did in the comments, and I will read your numbers. So maybe I did about 3:15 for that one. I'll take a little break in between. How about you, Dia?
I got 432.
Very nice. Very nice. See what everyone else did. Let me get their numbers in there. While we are waiting, we can go ahead and do the second question. All right, so the second question of the night is, what draws you to a book cover? What about you, DL? What draws you to a book cover?
I think the first thing would be like the color scheme. If it kind of pops, or whatever, it kind of draws my attention first, or whatever. As well as if it's an actual scene. I know that's something I had talked to my designer about. I didn't want just a stagnant image on a blank background or anything. I wanted an actual scene kind of portrayed. Because I feel like it's just an image. It doesn't really relay too much of a message of what it is. Like Game of Thrones, I know the set my wife has is just a blank background with a sword or a crown or something. You don't really know it's fantasy unless you actually read it. I mean, it doesn't pop out. You just know it's kind of medieval setting and stuff. And I know a lot of stories will have just like a basic image like that on it, and it doesn't really tell you much about the story itself, except one small aspect of it.
Very true.
I like knowing more about it just by looking at the cover.
Yep. I agree with that. Yeah, I would say that when I'm like, if I'm out about and I'm looking for books, or if I'm just shopping and a book catches my eye, usually it is the design of the cover, maybe a character, maybe not a character, colors that go together, a symmetry to it, so to speak. But yeah, definitely, I like the three layer detail. Like there's layers to the cover. I hate when covers are just so flat that it doesn't even look like there's any kind of dimension whatsoever. So I always look for that
single image or whatever. You don't really
right. You know, and I've seen
it is like an image. If it covers like the entirety of the page and it's got some type of design in it, that's better than just an image in the middle of nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very much so like that. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Like if I like this, for instance, for example, Anne Rice, new one of her newest books. See how I'm saying? If I saw this on a book that wouldn't draw me at all. Like just wouldn't. It's very boring, but it doesn't matter because she's Anne Rice, so she doesn't probably even feel that matters in the least bit. So being Anne Rice, you see how big her name is here. That right there will sell the book, and once you get to that stage, and I guess you can go ahead that. But I'm very much into covers, so yeah, this would not make me purchase the book if I saw it. Just the fact that I bought this book without even knowing what the cover was at first, because I pre-ordered it because Anne Rice and it's Lestat. That's all I needed. But that's you're established as a writer at that point. You know what I mean? So that type of thing. And then this is another example of a more basic, it's not bad cover by any means, but it's also very simple. It's like the color, it does have layers to the colors in the background, but again, one emblem, just the author's name, because she's a big name, you know what I mean? So the name sells itself,
I know one book I'm reading currently is called The Wolf. Can't remember who it's by, Leo something, Crew. I don't know. It's basically just a black background with like a metal wolf head on it.
Right, yeah.
Or whatever. And that's kind of that same thing. I wasn't really drawn to it.
Right.
The cover, I just know my wife had looked up different books she thought I might be interested in and told me about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. And Bloodleaf, I mean, it's got a little bit more of a design to it.
Yeah, it does, and it has the sheen to it, so I like that.
It's got the thorns or whatever. I mean, that's a little bit better. I'd still like
that's a little bit something that at least make you look.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of catches your eye more than just
that. So I mean, when you're thinking about books, like when you go to purchase, is like, that catching the eye. So I think about that when I'm doing my book covers and picking book covers. It's tends to work the same when I'm picking them. If I buy any pre-mades, because I do probably pre-made sometimes, but as far as like custom cover, that's going to be it's been a lot of thought involved in it. So I definitely have to
I
think
think that's
about that.
the reason why I don't try to get too much pre-made covers, because I wanted something specific to my story,
Hey.
and it's hard for me to find that where it's not just generic.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
did find
definitely.
one time, and I didn't buy it or anything, but it looked so nice. I had thought about it, but the story that it was going to be for was just going to be like a short story, so
Yeah.
it'd be like in a set, and then I don't really need a cover just for that short story itself. But it was
Yeah.
it's like a dead tree, like on fire, and you see like lava and stuff on the ground and stuff, and there's a wall
Right.
on the back, and that goes into that short story perfectly. But
Yeah, I mean, I understand that because I'm like, I did never plan to buy any pre-mades, and a lot of my stories that I have like down the line, I saw like a picture or something of this cover. And I'm like, wow, I really like this. One set that I purchased was pre-made, but it's like for one of my 3-part book series, and I thought it was just too eye-catching not to get it, you know. So
yeah,
I was like, even though they're pre-mades, they're not really resold type of pre-mades. Like, oh, I just took a person, threw it on the background, it's black, and you're gonna see 15 other covers with this same design type of thing. That I really do. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
so I buy pre-mades, but it's very selective. They still kind of a little expensive at times, so I have a problem. Um, but custom wise, yeah, that's gonna take a little thinking. I talked to the woman that I'm thinking about using yesterday. I talked to her, but again, I'm a little unsure about her pricing, how it's gonna be, but it's completely worth it. Her sister is actually a book cover artist as well, so let me pull everyone's set here, get their numbers too.
Here's
Okay.
that cover where I got it sharing
All right, let me add it to the string.
that thing.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, because I feel like that fits Century's landscape and everything just perfect.
Yeah, it's really nice actually. I do like that. That would catch my eye. Like the colors too of the title and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Very good. They are. Stop. So yeah, I like that actually. It's really good. But all right. So my timeline. Okay. It was I worked on my timeline and outline a bit. I'm having fun with markers. Laugh out loud. Michael said wrote 150 words, became in late. That's not bad. Any amount good in my opinion, but finished. I know your future. So I finished off another row of Keep project. Good because that's a lot of work. Then remember chores that I forgot to do today. So no words. Everything is important. Jones said 200 and some research. Very good. Michael questioning book covers for me, perhaps predictably naked men. Well, however much is allowed. I'm so sorry. Do not be sorry. It's cool. Jones said color is an important component of cover art. It needs to catch your eye. This is true. And I was looking at a lot of different styles and going through a lot of different pre-mades and stuff like that because the artists who do a lot of pre-mades do custom work obviously. So when I'm looking at pre-mades, I'm usually looking at their style and what they do so I can see if this could possibly be an artist I could use in the future for one of my books. And I've come across a few of them that I would use depending on the book, depending on the style I'm looking for. So that's always good to do that, is to see if you can find people that do cover art and stuff. And some people have really good prices too, or a lot different than each other. Like the one woman who's she would do me a three-part book series for like 400 and some odd dollars with the print and ebook. And I actually purchased the pre-made from her for the Angel series I was writing, a male main character. But she's a really good in my opinion. Not as necessarily as good as the other woman I'm going to use because, well, let's just say her prices are different. Like one of her pre-mades is like $500, so that's a pre-made, it's expensive pre-made. So yeah, you come across
I
that as
know.
well.
When I was searching for a book cover, I was saying I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford it because like up in the thousands for a cover.
Dude, it
They
can get
have
up there.
a roster of actual actors and like a movie set costume type ordeal and scenery and stuff, and you could go to their business or whatever, and they have like this warehouse. And you could be there while they're taking the photos for the cover. You could help
what?
the actors and stuff.
That's elaborate.
Yeah, pick the costumes, the scenery, the props, whatever.
Damn, they serious. I guess in that case.
It was up in New York somewhere. I forgot what the business was.
Not surprising. I expected you to say New York.
Yeah.
Or LA. I figured you would say that. See, Michael said, it's an amazing book. Jay, how you pronounce his name? Ahir? Probably Jay Ahir. Is an amazing book cover artist. I haven't heard of Jay Ahir. I might have to look that person up, but I've not heard of them. Yeah, I think the woman who did my one book cover series, she is from maybe the Ukraine, maybe. And then I think the other woman who I'm looking at, who's like very good, she is from like I don't even know, Scandinavia maybe. Like it's all the different places all over the world, but. That opens up. I like the internet in general. Like opens up a whole book of worms. Like a whole different aspect of where you can find stuff. Like you can all kinds of people who are so creative. The internet is like so good for that. Like
yeah, mine are from the UK.
Yeah, my editor's from the UK. Jay is fabulous. I'm gonna have to check out this Jay person. I'm just saying.
I know I follow a couple of different artists on Instagram or whatever I might use for future stuff.
Yeah. There's lots of places to look for them. I'm gonna have to check some people out too, because I do like 8 Little Pages. I think that they have some very good prices, and also their formatting is like I love the way they're formatting inside.
Yeah, I had them do both of mine.
Yeah, I could see why. But oh man, I just don't know. Like I'm just so torn about who to get to do it. Like it's either gonna be 8 Little Pages or this other woman talk to. To me, their prices are similar. However, I don't think she offers formatting with hers. So that would be a plus, obviously, with 8 Little Pages. And even if I don't get 8 Little Pages to do my cover, I would want them to do my formatting for the book because I do like their format process. So I'm definitely probably going to go that way.
I'm going to have them do the rest of that series. And then after that series, I might look around for other people.
Yeah, that's true. You want to keep with the same people as the first one. Did you talk to them already about your cover for your second book yet?
I talked to them about it when we had submitted for the first one, kind of what I wanted for all of them, because the first book was the one that I did not really know exactly what I wanted for the cover. I knew from the very beginning I wanted something that incorporated all 6 kingdoms. I told them I didn't know if I wanted it on the front, the back, or whatever. And they had done the flags for the back, which are flags that I actually designed and sent to them, and they incorporated in there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but I told them I didn't really know too much about that. I knew for the series as a whole, I wanted it to be kind of darker color scheme, maybe even muted colors with a bunch of black with red that pops.
Yeah.
The second one, I want it to be a crown on fire. The third one, I want it to be a character with blood dripping out of his side or whatever, laying on the ground dead. And then the fourth one, I wanted it to be just basically a flag laying on top of the book on fire. And then the emblem or whatever was going to be a new emblem that's not in the books yet.
Okay.
So I kind of told them that. And I was like, the first one, I don't really know. I mean, it's the battle for Medjugorje, maybe a war scene, a night, something. I don't care. But that's what I want for the rest of the series. So then they sent me what they had done, basically. Made a few changes, but
cool. Yeah, because it's like you're always thinking ahead about what you want. Your next covers to be when it's a series.
To go for future ones. So if they know what I want for there, maybe they can do the same thing. I'm going backwards.
This is true. So I'm like, you want to, because I had another woman who did a pre-made. She had a pre-made for sale. I purchased the pre-made, and then I had her. I had a different woman actually do the second book in the series because it's not connected that way. It's like a paranormal romance, but it's connected far as just usually the theme of the name. I I think the first one is When Fireflies Mingle, and then the second book is when what is it? When I think When Wolves Hunt or When Wolves Run or something like that. And then the third one's about death and stuff. So what I did is I found a second one, but she looked at the first book cover that I have for the pre-made that I had purchased and edited somewhat. And then she looked at that one and changed the entire pre-made to match the first one, which was really cool of her. So it looks similar to that one. Or you would know that they're part of the same series. So I'm going to use her for the next whatever amount in that one because it's like a continuous type of series. So I'm just going to keep her as the cover artist for that one, since she can find me sets to use, and then she can edit it to match the next. Keep the text the same and stuff like that. And so that type of thing works really well with those people. So do pre-mades. So she said, I don't really usually edit my pre-mades with people, but I'll do this one. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm not complaining. But yeah, so it's a lot of work. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday about, all the, when you're a self-publisher, what you have to do. But I mean, to me, it's still better, in my opinion, to be able to get the full amount for the work that you put in than just going traditional. Because I used to be a predominant, like I was going to go traditional, like that was what I was going to do. But as the world changed in writing, I was like, definitely going to do self-publishing, because if I'm going to go in this and
you got more say in it, you get more money.
Right. I didn't, when I found out, 'cause I didn't know, I was naive when I was younger. I didn't know anything about that. And you don't know about something until you learn, obviously. So I did not know that they could just have complete intellectual like control over your cover. Like if they read your manuscript and was like, well, we think that this POV needs to be the main character or whatever, that this person needs to be the main character, you can switch just blah, blah, blah. And then change your whole story. Because if you change the perspective of who the story is about, then your whole story changes. And I'm like, okay, well, if this is not my vision of what I want the story to be, then the fact that you can tell me that this is what I need to change it to, I did not like that concept. Then also the fact that they're going to choose my cover. Of course, people say, well, they know what will sell, but that's still not the point, in my opinion. My point is to get across my story and also people to see what I'm giving them. Not worried necessarily about what's selling at the moment, because you don't necessarily know if something will or won't sell until it's out there. You know what I mean? So I was like, no. And then when I found out that they do not advertise you, they don't put money on you advertising. I'm like, what?
Traditional. I was like, well, I don't have to really do anything except write. I was like, you still got to market.
You have to do marketing. I'm like, they don't market you.
They might That's expensive. A little bit, but not.
No. Really. Like very little enough so it don't even matter. Like, yeah, they'll get your books in stores and stuff, but like if they're not telling anybody they're in there really, then what good is that? Yeah. You're still going off of like you have to do it because they don't know who the heck you are right now, but they believed in your what they read enough to say we'll take you. But then they give you that advance, and of course nowadays a big advance is like $10,000, which is really no money. And then they're like, well, we're still going to sell your book for X amount of dollars, and this is going to pay back into what you get. So they get so much money off of you. Let's say your book does decent, and then you get such little bit. I don't think that that's somehow fair to the point. But of course, they do a lot of work, so I get it. However,
they still usually cover like your editing and cover your costs and stuff. But
right, but it's like it still seems like
who can actually do it.
Thank you, but it just seems like you're getting a short end of the stick, in my opinion. So that's why I decided to go with self-publishing in the end, because I'm a very do-it-yourself person anyway. So I was like, no, I could do my own marketing. If I'm going to go that route, I have to do my own marketing. I don't see why I should give you any of the money. And there's these avenues that they will print my book for me, and I can get paid. Yeah, I have to pay my own editor and all that jazz. But in the end, that's what it's still. No, I'm not. You're still, my money is still
back on that. You got
right
full royalties, except
exactly.
Right.
So either way, technically I'll be paying for it anyway, because once they pay for it, they're taking it out of me to really replenish it. So it's still, to me, the concept of why do I need the middleman? They said, well, because they'll get your name. No, they don't really, until you market yourself enough to get the fire started. Like you have to build a fire.
To their website just to buy books from them, nobody's really gonna know.
They don't know who you are. Like, who are you anyway? Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm good. Let's not do that. Let me check the chat, see what's going on real quick. Oh yeah. Oh, she's on Facebook. Okay, I will check her out. Jay. I will check out Jay and see about that. Ava says, I haven't even figured out a title. How excited to be to pick a cover. Yep.
Yeah, I was excited when I got my mock-ups back because, like I
They
said, I
were.
didn't know what they was going to do for the cover on the first book.
Yeah.
But Sweet Little Pages also asked you to send different scenes or from your story, different things that kind
So
of
they can know
represent the
what to
story
do, right?
and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what I want. I was just like, maybe a night battle scene, something. It's in it, and they sent me two mock-ups. One was more like high res imaging or whatever, so it's not as like artistic like what I have. Because I told them I was kind of thinking about maybe more of an artistic style for it, which is what I went with. I told them I wasn't sure. So they went ahead and sent me one that was more high res and was a like a lich almost, and this like dark black robe with some metal plating over it, and he had like magic coming off his hands, and you can see like his skull glowing in like a hood type ordeal, and you can see some like knights behind him. And it was up in the mountains, and you could see a castle in the background, which was based off of Brighthelm being the capital, and that's what they're fighting for, basically.
Right.
And then they sent the one that's on the cover, which was a depiction of the actual first battle of the war.
Right, yeah, so, I saw that. I was like,
yeah.
well,
the only thing that's different is I told them to go ahead and add in the dragons on there because the dragons aren't in that battle. But since the dragons are kind of throughout the story, I wanted that incorporated somehow.
Yeah.
But besides that, when that's that first battle of the war, I was like, yep, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I like that. The cover, I think the cover is really good. I actually love the cover.
Yeah, so I was surprised they hit that like really spot on with the two different.
Isn't that like a best feeling ever? Like when you got when they send you the book cover, you like,
you're like, wow, that's actually what I envisioned.
You're like, wow, they did really good on that.
Because I was like,
you explained yourself well.
There's two armies. One's a lot of demons and stuff like that. The other one's got golden armor, and their generals have like blue crystals like on their armor. And I got that cover with that dude on it, and it's called "Early Morning Sun" is the name of the chapter, which is the battle took place by the time the sun was rising. You see that sun glaring right there at the horizon.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
I don't do custom covers. I love this. Or I do.
Yeah, man. Covers. When you get it when you get the whole like thing sent to you though, you just got excited as hell when you saw it.
Oh, yeah. Start showing it to everybody.
That's so cool. They're talking about JR. I'm gonna have to check her out. See, JR does cover art for Evernight Publishing. Some gorgeous covers there. I'll check that out. I'm always interested to check out other people's covers. All right, so let's see. We did the second question. So let's go ahead and jump on a sprint. So 15-minute. And then we'll come back and do the third question tonight in chat and then do another sprint. I'm going to go over the time I was going to because I like to at least get 3 sprints in, nonetheless. Say Ava real quick. I think she's talking to you, DL.
It's worth it, I think.
Well, you can always get it and hold it and wait a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah. I got an audiobook in the makings right now, so.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm gonna have to get the audiobook too because obviously the dude's hot as fuck. So. Yep. That's an added plus. I'm just saying.
I seen he posted on Instagram yesterday or something that he had been working on it. He got like a little screenshot of the audio file or whatever. So hopefully I'll get the first chapter within a week. Hopefully.
Oh, that's good. Cool. I can't wait for that. So I will be purchasing that as well.
Especially since the first chapter has so many different characters. That's
right.
Will set the tone for every other voice that he does, and he's doing different voices for each character.
Yep, so. Yep. That's cool though. I can't wait for that. I'm sure you're excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that must be very exciting as well. It's like another layer of excitement at it. So yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm gonna have to look into getting someone for mine once it gets done. That's a whole nother beast. Woo. Whole nother beast. All right, so let's go ahead and start our sprint. We're at about 9:04, so we'll roughly say 9:05. And yeah, so we'll be back about 9:20, and then we will jump on. We'll do our third question, and then we'll just chat a little bit, and then we'll jump on the last sprint. So we'll be finishing close to 10, but a little bit before 10 tonight. All right, everyone. See you in 15. Alrighty, and we're back. So everyone did. You can leave your comments about your numbers if you wrote, if you didn't, whichever. How'd you do, DL?
390 something.
Cool.
395.
Cool. I did about 267 for that one. All right. Oh, I think I'm probably only going to hit about what I got earlier. Probably get about close to 2,000 words in today, but I'm still pleased with getting through the revision at even a little bit. um, all right, I will read everyone's numbers in a bit. Hey, Melissa, thank you for joining us. But I'm going to go ahead and do the third question of the night. If you're just joining us, you can go ahead and answer the other two questions. I will read your replies. The other two questions, the first question of the night was, what's your favorite genre and why? And the second question was, what draws you to a book cover? This would be as a reader, and you also can add in as a writer if you are a writer. But we mostly talk about as a reader because it's relevant as well in our form as a writer because this is what we like. All right, so the third question of the night is, what pulls you in to purchase a book? So everything aspect wise, what pulls you in to purchase a book? What about you, DL?
First, obviously the cover. That's what catches my attention. And I'll kind of read the back blurb or whatever, kind of see what it's about. Yep. And if it still seems kind of interesting or something that I might be somewhat interested in, I will typically just open up to a page somewhere around the middle of the book and read like a page, maybe page and a half or something, to see if the writing is, up to par, and it still seems something like I might actually read. So then that's usually my book purchasing process.
Yep.
I know a lot of people, they will say that they read like the first page or first couple pages. But I then tried not to do that too much because I know a lot of authors try to stress getting that first page, that first chapter as polished as possible, and then they might slack the rest of the book. So I usually try to find somewhere in the middle because that's more, I feel like, the writing style for the majority of the book.
This is true. You're very right about that. I would have to say, of course, obviously, the cover first, and then I do also read the back of the book, whatever the blurb may be. That gives me some idea of what the book is about, obviously, not just the title and the cover. And I don't generally look in the book and read any of it, actually, when I'm purchasing a book. I mean, that comes also to play with the fact that I generally purchase writers that I've read before. I do go for new
stuff. So
I mean, once you're used to their writing style, it generally doesn't change too much. It can depend on if they're a multi-genre writing author. But that being said, if it's a new writer I have not checked out before, and then they draw me in by the cover and the blurb, and then I may flip through the book a little bit just to see what's going on or see how their writing style is. That's when I usually do that. But again, like I said, I buy a lot, like just Anne Rice. She was going to bring out a new book. It has been a minute for Lestat. I didn't, know what the concept was going to be for this one. Just the fact that it was Lestat, Anne Rice. I know I like her writing. I purchased it, pre-ordered it without even knowing whatever. Then Sharon Kean, she's another writer that I read on a regular. So when her books are announced, I pre-order them. Ari Salvatore, same concept. Usually, if it's about Dritz, I'm buying it. Like his other stuff, I may have to like check into it a little bit because I don't know what the, whole story may be. But if it's Dritz, I'm gonna buy it. I don't even care what the whole concept is. If he's in it, I'm getting it. So it's that once you build a rapport with a person, they pretty much know what they want from you. But yeah, that's definitely something I do. Always, like, as soon as I get to the book cover pulls in, flip it over, read the whole blurb. That you try to keep your blurbs in order because that's gonna maybe make or break you right there. If a person's gonna purchase your book or not. So people really think about the whole synopsis of your book. Like really think about that when you're writing your blurb on the back because that's the key factor selling your book after the cover. So they made even if the cover
kind of also just imitate your writing style. If the blurb's very choppy or very poorly put together, more than likely somebody's going to think the rest of the book is poorly put together.
Yeah, because even if it's not true, they're going to possibly think that that's the case. So if they're not getting anything, if you don't grab their interest on that blurb, you're possibly going to lose a sale right there. So that person that could have enjoyed the book may not even ever get a chance because they were turned off by the blurb or just didn't say enough. Even if it's a short blurb, you should get across what this book is about and to pull them in to even flip through the pages. You know what I mean? So,
and you don't want to overdo it and bore them.
No, of course not. I don't like to tell the whole damn story in the back.
Studies that most people read maybe 150 words at the max on a blurb. So if it's real long, they're not more likely to read all of it.
They're just going to skim it. Yep. Yeah. They're going to skim it. So definitely. All right. Let's see what the chat's going on here. See, Ava. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Just did more outline timeline things. Pretty productive sprint. Good. Glad to hear. So we like to hear. Melissa answering the questions of the night. I'm a fan of romance, just about any kind, but I do steer away from erotica. Yeah, erotica's not for everyone. It can be a little strong on the strong end for some people. I've read very little erotica, but I do have some, and of course the one I have read have been pretty strong, but they are well written stories. I don't like the ones that are like, well, here it is, just a bunch of sex. No, I have no story here. Like, yeah, I'm not into that. I'd be like Jackie Chan when he said he watches porn. He was like, I like the ones with stories. So that goes with my erotica. I like the ones with stories. Question 2, the colors, really, but also the feel of it. Yes, very true. The colors do grab people. Like, I'm a goth chick, so I could go with a dark and not so many colors per se. So I could be like, it could be very, very dark, and it still could draw me because sometimes it's just the layering and the aspects of the book, like you said, the feel. So sometimes you can just look at a cover and know that this book possibly could be for me, or it's going to be the things that you like, the taste that you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's how I kind of approached mine. Whenever I wanted the dark and mostly muted colors.
Yep. You want to do that too when you talk about the concept of your book, because that color scheme and the feel on the cover could give away what your book is about, which will make people purchase it. You also don't want to do the complete opposite, unless, of course, that's what you're trying to pull in, the complete opposite. But you do a bunch of colors and stuff, and your book is the darkest thing that ever happened to the world. People gonna be like, "What is this? This dude tricked me!" Like, So, all right. Jones said, "I fell down a rabbit hole looking at book cover art, dude. I understand.
It happens.
That's a slippery slope."
I've never bought any pre-made covers, but I'll look at them all the time, just kind of get ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, like I said, the reason to look at their pre-mades is that you can see what kind of stylization they have in designing and know if they could work for you or not, especially when you're a writer. So.
And usually that way they also have multiple genres usually that they do, so you can kind of get different feels from the same artist.
Yep, you're right about that. And Melissa answered question 3. For new, to me, authors, it's the cover first, then the blurb, then the inside peek. Yep. We tend to have the similar layout of how we do things. Tends to work that way for most people. So it was a word of mouth 100%. I really pick my own book out. There's too many to choose from. Well, that's why I have over 5,000 books behind me, because I buy a lot of books. So yeah, I've rarely gone off a recommendation. Actually, I have to say that's a rarity for me. I'm kind of like this is what I like type of person. Like right there, like usually it has to be someone who's like-minded to me for me to even listen for them for a second about what kind of book it is. Like if they're recommending me a book, doesn't mean I'm even going to check it out per se. Unless we connect somehow or we have similar likes, then I'll probably check it out, because it's possible that we could like the same type of books as well. So that type of thing. When it comes down to like other writer friends, I will check out other writers that I know book just because I'm supporting them too. And I could very much like what they're writing, but I also like to support other writers. So in that case, yes. Michael said 257 words. Very good, Michael. And his answering the question. Okay. I pay attention to the synopsis. Yep. If I like the idea of the story, I'll read it. Usually that strategy works. I'm an avid reader. Yes, I agree with that. I've reread quite a many of my books, I will say, for sure. They get good use. And I enjoy rereading stories I enjoyed and also get something out of the reading every time I do. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you'll go back and read it and be like, I've done that. We'll go back and be like, did I read this book? This seems so familiar.
I like reading like stuff like maybe with a little bit of mystery or something to it, and then when you reread it,
Yes.
you kind of actually start picking up on some of the hints early on,
Mm-hmm. Yep,
where
yep,
you can
yep.
get more of a
Yep.
enjoyment out of the craft and the way that they kind of intertwined it in.
Very true. Yes. When I read a book, I've read books like this, but when I read a book that, let's say it's a series and there's layers to it, and then there's like the stuff you have to figure out or find out as the series goes on. I do love to go back and read those to see like when I would catch those things that end up
Yeah.
being the climax, you know. So that's always very interesting to do. All right. So Melissa says, I think that's the problem. Most of the erotic, right, written stories, they were penthouse letters.
Yeah.
This is very possible. Um, but yeah, like Aphrodite, her book that came on Counters story is point on point. Okay, so what she does, and with writers that probably do good with the story part, she doesn't write these sex scenes as she's writing the story. So if there is a sex scene part, she will put they had sex or made love or whatever. Then as she after she finishes, she goes back and does the details of that said scene. But you would not be able to do that if your book was only about the sex and the tease or whatever, which is fine if that's the type of erotica you're writing. However, I prefer the story to be solid as well, because the sex scenes to me is just a plus or whatever for the tease of the couple that's together. So to me, I don't really see like just leaving that and then just that's all I'm writing and no story. So I definitely agree with that. So that'll sell me. I will purchase it in that case. All right, so here, let us. I think that's the question. So that's the last question of the night. And so let's do another 15-minute sprint, and then we will come back and do a little bit of chatting and then close out for the night. Okay, so I guess we'll just count it as we'll come back. Hmm, let's say we'll come back around 9:55. Let's say play with a few minutes. Um, yeah, so let's
About
come back
20
around that
minutes.
time. Yeah, about 20 minutes. It'll be the end of the whole sprint. So the sprinting family, because we can get a little few more words in, I think, with a 20 minutes. So let's throw a 20 minute in there. Come back at 9:55, and then we will do our close out and see you guys on Tuesday. All right. Happy writing. See you at 9:55. Okay, and we're back. Up, 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 up. Alrighty. Melissa, the first one with numbers in. Melissa said dinner has arrived, so I'll be back in a bit. Wrote 642 words. Good job, Melissa. We may or may not be back. You may or may not be back by the time we're out, but we shall see. Everyone else, you can put your numbers in the comment section and or whatever you were doing during the sprint. I was not writing the entire time, unfortunately, because I had to contend with the mini me. Um, so I did get about 210 words written, which is not bad for it. Only starting back up about 8 minutes in. So 8 minutes left, I should say. So yeah. How about you, DL? What'd you get done?
Yeah, I got 360. I didn't write the entire time either. I stopped because my wife came in here and I read her what I had wrote. So
very nice. Sharing is caring. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I share a lot with her. So
oh, of course.
but I looked at her and she's like, "What are you smiling about?" I was like, "This conversation I'm writing." Is Catherine involved? I was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it's always funny when you're like writing a conversation or part and you're like smiling while you're.
Oh yeah. Conversations
are
hilarious. So.
I know, right? So yeah, let's see if everybody else can get their numbers posted for us while we wait a few minutes. While we are waiting, do you want to do your closeout, DL?
I'm DL Stewart. I got Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube, website. I got a newsletter and a blog on my website. If you sign up to my newsletter, you get the first 2 chapters of the Battle for Metagore sent to you for free. So you can read it and see if you like it. If so, you can go buy it. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books Depository, Indigo, IndieBound, Waterstone, I think Walmart. I don't know what all. Bunch of places. So you go check all that out. So, yeah.
Yes, DL is everywhere.
And I started a Patreon account the other day.
Good job. Definitely need that. Good job.
Or I started it like last year or something. I just hadn't done anything with it until like 2 or 3 days ago.
So. Yeah, it's a lot to do with social media for writers. So we have a lot of pages and a lot of websites and stuff to keep under our control, so to speak. So trying to make a schedule for your social media posting is another beast all in itself. I actually made a whole video about like trying to market yourself through social media. So that's another aspect of something you can use. So yeah, that's a lot to do. You got to try to schedule your Patreon, your YouTube.
On Excel or whatever with what I'm going to do on each day or whatever.
That's very smart and very smart to do so. Because the people get a little overwhelmed, I should say, with all the different accounts and stuff that you need to have and everything. But it's you'll be glad you did it in the future.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. So yeah. All right. So as you know, this is my channel. I'm Author DL Tillery. And I am everywhere as well. I have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook page, a website. On my website, you can check there monthly. I usually have a short story and or a new poem because I write poetry as well. Posted on there. I have a Patreon as well. I have some tiers on there. I do release little teasers of Cagliostro and other books I'm working on. Maybe do cover reveals there early for my patrons. But yeah, check all that stuff out. I have mostly all the links down below. I have my website down below. I have Aphrodite stuff there too. And of course, our entire author tribe that we generally write with or something like that. So you can check all them out. Please go check them out, see if you like anything they're doing, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to DL Stewart, then please do so. His YouTube link is below. And also the link to purchase his book and Aphrodite's book is down there as well. So if you search a little bit down in the description, you will find all the stuff about us down there. All right, so it has been fun. I am going to read everyone's numbers real quick who came in a little bit later. Jones got 300 plus. Very good. Ava. No words again, but have fun with my timeline stuff. Very important. Pick some things easier than expected. Then I had to rock the little guy for a while. Yeah. You know, being a parent, don't stop, man. Does not stop. Mike I wrote 123 words, but had this 4 things to do again. It's always multiple things to do. And I know your future, so I got like 14 index cards plotted out and sorted into order. Very good. Every step matters, so every step counts on these sprints. Any way to help each other get stuff done. That's the whole point of these sprints. So I'm going to say good night to Melissa. So if you come back and watch the end of it, we are saying good night to you because we are about to head out of here. Thank you guys for riding with us. I will see you on Tuesday on my channel. Aphrodite maybe joins and DL may be joining as well because he's a part of our team now. So if not, then I will be here if I don't have my party with me, and we will write to our heart's content. I will see you then. Thanks for joining us. Bye.